When drawing or measuring bearings, we always measure bearings in a clockwise direction. We measure bearings in a clockwise direction. Okay, so I'm going to give you examples and explain to you how we employ these features and rules in bearings. So let's look at the first example. You're supposed to measure the bearing. Look at the bearing of P from O. So we are supposed to measure and explain the bearing of P from O. The bearing of P from O. Whenever you hear the keyword from, it means O to P. P from O actually means O to P. So it's a little phrase you need to understand. Bearing of P from O actually means O to P. So you need to start at point O and not P. You start at point O and not P. So you always remember the keyword from. That's the starting point. So you go to point O, and that is our north line. And we need to start measuring from the north line until we hit the black line connecting point P. That's all we need to do. So it's all about angle measurement. As you can see, this angle is an obtuse angle, so you're allowed to use a semicircular protractor. So you must align the protractor really well, making sure the zero line falls directly or aligns directly with the north line. So that is my alignment perfectly on the north line. And you see there are two scales, so you've got to be very careful. We are measuring, the angles are getting bigger and bigger and bigger, so therefore it is the outside scale I'm going to use. Don't use the inside, because if the inside scale is falling, but you're measuring the angle is increasing, so it should be the outside scale. Looking at the outside scale, it falls on 130 degrees. So we say the bearing of P from O is 130 degrees. Simple as that. It's just about measuring angles. Let's look at another example. Measure the bearing of Q from O. So the keyword from O, it means R to Q. R to Q. So you go to point R. That's point R. That's the north line. Start measuring clockwise direction until you hit the black line that connects Q. That's all you're supposed to do. As you can see, this angle is reflex, so therefore you need a circular protractor. Align your zero line with the north line, then start measuring clockwise direction all the way. Remember, it's always clockwise direction. So clockwise direction all the way. The black line falls on 250. Therefore, we say the bearing of Q from R is 250 degrees. So these are the two examples showing you how to measure bearings. Now let's look at how to calculate bearings.